Man Friday. So soon after, if you look at that visual, Tejaswi Yadav welcomed Nitish Kumar inside his home. Nitish went and met Rabdi Devi, the former Chief Minister, Lalu Yadav's wife. Then Tejaswi Yadav addressed his MLAs. So all the RJD MLAs and other MLAs of the Mahagathbandhan of 114 were present when Tejaswi Yadav addressed them in presence of Nitish Kumar and Lalan Singh. So Nitish Kumar, Lalan Singh accompanying Nitish Kumar in that meeting which happened at Tejaswi's home. It is also the home of Rabdi Devi, the former Chief Minister of Bihar, and then they exchanged bouquets. But Tejaswi in that address actually told the MLAs, what sources are saying is that the transition has happened. Nitish Kumar has made his first move. Ab hum logon ko karna hai, is what he had said. And before that, already 114 MLAs, which includes the RJD, the Congress and other political parties, have given their letter of support to Tejaswi Yadav, in which he has been authorized to take the call. This is Tejaswi Yadav's show. Let's be clear about it. In this power transition that has happened in Bihar, Nitish Kumar may be the face, but it is Tejaswi Yadav who will continue to be a strong political force, because he understands that he has the strength of the numbers, the strength of 114 MLAs in this entire 160 MLA support that is being given to, which will be handed over to the Governor of Bihar. So let's see how events play out. But high on optics, as we put out those first set of pictures which have come from sources in the RJD.
So Maria, as you were pointing out, high on optics, the message is Tejaswi Yadav is going to have a larger role, even though the face could be Nitish Kumar. Quickly, if you could talk to us about the challenges for this new government as well.
Yes, so the new government will face challenges. It may not be a smooth transition, the manner in which Nitish Kumar walked out of alliance in 2013, and in 2015 he forged an alliance with the RJD. Again in 2017 he walked out of alliance with the RJD.
माननीय नितिन नवीन जी, माननीय नवल किशोर यादव जी, माननीय रामसूरत राय जी, यहाँ उपस्थित माननीय प्रेमरंजन पटेल जी और सभी प्रेस के मित्रों, 2020 के चुनाव में एनडीए गठबंधन के तहत हम सबों ने चुनाव लड़ा था और जो मेजॉरिटी और यादव जी, माननीय रामसूरत राय जी, यहाँ उपस्थित माननीय प्रेमरंजन पटेल जी और सभी प्रेस के मित्रों, 2020 के चुनाव में एनडीए गठबंधन के तहत हम सबों ने चुनाव लड़ा था और जो मेजॉरिटी और मैंडेट था वह एनडीए में भाजपा और जनता दल यूनाइटेड को जनता ने मैंडेट दिया था। हम 74 सीट जीतने में कामयाब हुए थे। उसके बावजूद भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने और माननीय गृह मंत्री जी ने जो वादा किया था, हमने उस वादे का पूर्णतः पालन किया और माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी इस एनडीए गठबंधन के मुख्यमंत्री बने। आज जो कुछ भी हुआ है वह बिहार की जनता के साथ और भाजपा के साथ धोखा है। यह पूरे उस मैंडेट का उल्लंघन है जो मैंडेट बिहार की जनता ने दिया था, जिसके एक 2005 के पहले की जो सरकार थी उसके विरुद्ध का मैंडेट था कि यह प्रदेश शांति चाहता है, यह प्रदेश विकास चाहता है और जो कुछ भी आज हुआ है वह न केवल भाजपा बल्कि बिहार की सारी जनता के साथ धोखा है और बिहार की जनता इसको कतई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगी। धन्यवाद। यह वह बेहतर जवाब दे सकता है। जो कुछ भी हुआ है उसका बेहतर जवाब माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी दे सकते हैं। यह सरासर बिहार के जनता और मैंडेट के साथ धोखा है और 2017 की जो परिस्थितियां बनी थी वह खुद वो बताएं कि उस भ्रष्टाचार में क्या अंतर आ गया, उस बातों में क्या अंतर आ गया। यह इस बिहार की जनता के साथ मैंडेट के साथ धोखा है और बिहार की जनता निश्चित तौर पर इसके लिए उनको सबक सिखाएंगे।
पार्टी को तोड़ने की साजिश कर रहे थे। नीतीश कुमार से बात करने की पार्टी को तोड़, उन्होंने कहा कि मेरी पार्टी को तोड़ने की साजिश चल रही है।
2017 का उनका बयान देखिए, क्या एक शब्द।
They refused to divulge into what actually led to the fallout between the BJP and the JDU, but the BJP today seeing this move by Nitish Kumar as a move of betrayal. As we've been pointing out that the tensions between the BJP and the JDU had been brewing for a while. If I give you the recent events, there were a lot of key meetings that were chaired either by the Home Minister or the Prime Minister, where Nitish Kumar decided to skip those events. The most recent one being that crucial Niti Aayog meeting that took place over the weekend.
General election. I said this on record, not today, 2 years back, when the Vidhan Sabha election results came out in 2020. The very next day, I said this on record that very soon Mukhyamantri ji will be leaving this NDA alliance and he'll be going towards Mahagathbandhan because he knows that there's no vacancy for the Prime Minister candidate in NDA. And he would want to be presented as the Prime Minister candidate from the opposition side in 2024. So it's because of this particular aim and ambition of my Chief Minister is the reason why the whole development took place.
People are saying that you are very happy with the kind of development because it has opened your ways towards NDA and towards BJP.
Bhai, of course not. Yaar. The people of my state elected Chief Minister to work for them, to work for the state, not to work for himself. Today, when the people of my state needs a government, needs a Chief Minister to be working for him, my state is dealing with drought, my state is dealing with, of course, needless to say, berozgari, mehengai, and all these issues. Today, when we need a government, my Chief Minister is going to resign, and he's all concerned about forming another alliance, forming another government. That is his priority and not my state. So definitely, I am not happy with what has happened today. I would have been more happy had my Chief Minister been working on the ground. And for the people of my state.
People are talking about Chirag model. I want to know that what is your thought on that?
Well, that's a model of development given by my father. We call it Bihar first, Bihari first. And with that model, Lok Jan Shakti Party, we went for the elections in 2020 Vidhan Sabha elections. And I'm happy that the people of my state selected, not elected, but selected, because I didn't win any seat, but they selected Chirag model compared to Nitish model. And is the reason why Nitish's party came down from number 1 position to number 3 position, more than half of their candidates, they lost the election. And is the reason why still we can hear the pain when the leader of Janata Dal United, when they talk, and is the reason why they quote this Chirag model repeatedly.
Last question, what do you think should be the course of action in Bihar now, because you mentioned it multiple times that he has betrayed people of Bihar.
Yeah, and the mandate, what was given, the mandate was for NDA to run the government, not for Mahagathbandhan. So he has betrayed this mandate, and is the reason why I'll request Mamahim Rajyapalji, the governor of my state, to recommend for a president rule in my state, and I think this is the time we should go for midterm polls.
All right. So Chirag Paspan clearly saying and asking for the presidential rule and also the midterm elections as of now. With Cam Vasan Ravi, this is Akash Sharma.
Well, that was the first reaction there. Chirag Paswan there speaking to my colleague Akash to CNN News 18, hitting out at the move as far as Nitish Kumar's resignation is concerned. Our political editor Maria Shakil is now back with us. Maria, before I talk to you about the LJP's reaction, I want to talk to you about what we heard from the press conference of the BJP. Betrayal is what the BJP is saying against the mandate of the people. How do you see the BJP's reaction?
Yes, so that was expected. BJP was waiting for Nitish Kumar to make the first move because they did not really want to carry the burden of breaking the alliance. So although all the ministers who were part of the Nitish Kumar cabinet, 16 ministers of the BJP, in all, they were waiting for Nitish Kumar to make a move. They had met at, former Deputy Chief Minister Tarkishore's residence, but they did not really want to, go to the people and say that they walked out of the alliance. So Nitish Kumar walking out of the alliance does give that talking point to the BJP of who really betrayed the alliance. But having said that, let's not forget that in 2017, it was the RJD who said the same, that Nitish Kumar betrayed the mandate of people. Because in 2015, it was the Mahagathbandhan which had swept Bihar. It was not Nitish Kumar who had won alone. Even then his numbers were less than that of RJD, although the gap between the two sides was not that much. This time it was much lesser in comparison to the BJP. But having said that, the same betrayal charge will be coming to Nitish Kumar. But let's see in terms of what will be his defense. So far the indication that has come from the JDU is that Nitish Kumar will be telling the people that there has been a larger conspiracy against his government, against his party, the JDU, by the BJP, and he had no option but to break the alliance because he tried his best to ensure that the alliance functions, but his hands were tied. And if anything, because his position was such that he had to explain to the people of Bihar as to why he did what he did, he may just explain that. But I think in terms of optics, Nitish Kumar, ending that alliance, he did it alone. So for all that was being discussed in terms of whether the resignation will happen and simultaneously the letter of support will be given, that hasn't really happened. So resignation has happened. Nitish Kumar went to Circular Road to meet Rabdi Devi. He was accompanied by Lalan Singh, who is the JDU president of Bihar, and then they met Tejaswi Yadav, who now commands 114 MLAs. I'm emphasizing that number because that's a number in an assembly where the halfway mark is 122. Tejaswi has 114, along with other alliance partners of Mahagathbandhan. So the new Mahagathbandhan is taking shape in Bihar. Tejaswi Yadav is likely to be part of this government, but it will be an assertive Tejaswi, not the same Tejaswi that we saw in 2015. So, but BJP saying betrayal is the same as RJD saying betrayal in 2017.
Maria, I'll just request you to stay on with us. We're getting some other updates also now coming in, and this is what RJD sources are telling CNN News 18, that JDU leader Nitish Kumar told RJD's Tejaswi Yadav that forget what happened in 2017 and let's start a new chapter in 2022. Maria Shakil continues to be with us. Maria, what does this messaging mean? Is Nitish Kumar also understanding the fact that there could have been a trust deficit, so he wanted to address the elephant in the room?
Yes, but the trust deficit is there. Let's not forget that there is trust deficit. There are concerns about the future of this alliance. There has to be extra effort that will be made both in terms of governance and also in terms of, politics. Politically as well, there has to be more effort that will be made by both the sides to ensure that this alliance actually functions. But having said that, the challenge certainly for Nitish Kumar would be to ensure that Tejaswi Yadav feels comfortable in his government. Because in 2017, when he walked out of alliance with Tejaswi Yadav, Nitish Kumar had leveled a strong charge against Tejaswi. He had said that he wanted to protect his image from what he saw was tainted past of RJD. So how does he defend that? And Tejaswi also has a big challenge of ensuring that the promises that he made to the people of Bihar, all those who voted for him, he is able to deliver on those promises. So the power transition that we are talking about, every time we say that an alliance of this nature is unnatural. Is this an unnatural alliance? Well, let's wait and see. But certainly, Nitish Kumar will be seen in history as a politician who believes in convenience, politics of opportunism and politics of convenience. But as far as Tejaswi is concerned, he will be able to, send across that message that he has followed principles and that his following a formation of the government would be only and only when Nitish Kumar walks out of that alliance. And Nitish having made that move, that is when Tejaswi is extending support to form the government.
Maria, I quickly also want to talk to you about the reaction that we saw from the LJP, I'll just request you, Maria, to stay on with us. Some other updates also now coming in, and this is what sources are now telling CNN News 18, that Nitish Kumar has been chosen as the leader of the Mahagathbandhan. So it's a done deal then. This is what sources are telling CNN News 18, that Nitish Kumar, after he tendered in his resignation, he is the chosen leader of the Mahagathbandhan. Maria continues to be with us. Maria, what more details are you picking up by the means of sources?
Yes, so in that meeting that was held at Circular Road, in which Tejaswi addressed the 114 MLAs of Mahagathbandhan in the presence of Rabdi Devi, the former Chief Minister, and also Lalan Singh and Nitish Kumar, it was communicated to them that we have decided that Tejaswi, having been authorized by Mahagathbandhan partners, has decided to really make Nitish Kumar the face of this Mahagathbandhan, and so that modality or formality is through. Now that 114 MLA's letter, which Tejaswi commands, will be now submitted to the governor. Nitish already has over 43 MLAs on his side. There are around few others, smaller parties support that he has. So in all, this new alliance will have a support of over 160 MLAs. In terms of formalities, will there be a new oath-taking ceremony? Yes. Because Bihar at present doesn't have a chief minister. Nitish Kumar having resigned, Bihar doesn't have a chief minister. So there will be an oath-taking ceremony that will be taking place, in which Nitish Kumar will be sworn in as the next chief minister again. The only difference is that earlier he was in alliance with the BJP. The chief minister remains the same, and that is the irony of my state, I would say, where the chief minister is the same. It is only the alliance partners that are changing.
Mara, I know you've been reporting non-stop for us, but I have another aspect that I want to discuss with you, which is the reaction that we saw from the LJP, where they're saying that the ambitions of Nitish Kumar cannot be fulfilled by just one single political party. Do you think that's going to be a big challenge for Nitish Kumar to allay concerns of his alliance that all will be well?
Well, that is coming from Chirag Paswan. Chirag Paswan at present isn't really a player in Bihar politics. He doesn't really have his own political party. The LJP is now firmly with his uncle Pashupatinath Paras, who is also a minister in the central government. So Chirag Paswan, yes, he is trying to make those noises, trying to say that he was trying to be the Hanuman of Prime Minister Narendra Modi throughout the 2020 elections, and he has been talking about Nitish Kumar's ambitions, and it is he who stands vindicated when he said that Nitish Kumar cannot be trusted. So now Chirag may be saying it, but again, as I've been saying, Chirag Paswan isn't really a player or a force in Bihar at present. He doesn't even have his own political party with him. His party, the LJP, has been completely co-opted by his uncle. The LJP chief is recognized as Pashupatinath Paras, so it is more of a soundbite that Chirag is giving at present.
Maria, quickly, I also want to understand what happens from here on. Now that the resignation has been given to the governor, that letter of support we still haven't seen. So what happens from here on?
So, since Nitish Kumar has been officially declared as the head of Mahagathbandhan, Bihar doesn't have a chief minister right now. So, I'm sure the governor would have communicated to the outgoing chief minister that he should continue as the caretaker chief minister, because that is the modality which is usually followed in these transitions that we see. Having said that, so the letter of support that Tejaswi will be giving may be perhaps coming directly to the governor's residence and handing it over. In all, what I am being told by the sources in the RJD, that their new alliance has support of over 160 MLAs. So it's very clear that they have the numerical strength in terms of the numbers. So in order to ensure that the new government actually takes charge, because the alliance has already been forged. So the first step has already been done, which is Mahagathbandhan with Nitish Kumar as the face. Now the next step of this new power center or the axis, which is Nitish Kumar, Tejaswi Yadav and the Congress and the left parties would be in this new axis. It will be about swearing in ceremony. Whether the oath-taking ceremony takes place today or maybe it happens tomorrow, that is something that we'll have to wait and see. But the indication certainly is that because he has age on his side, Tejaswi Yadav has agreed to play second fiddle to Nitish Kumar, and he has agreed to be the deputy chief minister, play the role of a deputy of Nitish Kumar.
So what we'll see from here on, as Maria is pointing out, possibly you'll have the letter directly reaching the Raj Bhavan to the governor, and then the swearing in or the oath-taking ceremony will take place. And if I understand correctly, Maria, Nitish Kumar will be sworn in 8th time as the chief minister. And as you were pointing out, because of the age factor, what will this possibly the last political chapter of Nitish Kumar mean?
Yes, so as far as Nitish Kumar himself is concerned, since 2005 he has been a Chief Minister of Bihar. And you know, when he came to power in 2005, he came with great expectations. It was seen as Bihar writing a new chapter with an engineer being on the driver's seat. Nitish Kumar did try social engineering then. He carved out the Pasmanda Muslims from the larger Muslim coalition of the 20% Muslims of Bihar. Then he carved out the extremely backwards, the Mahadalits, from the larger OBCs to create his own social vote bank, because he understood that having, being the leader of just 6%, he needs support of these newer forms. So that is the reason why the social engineering was seen as a new chapter.
अब शुरुआत हो गई भाजपा भारत छोड़ो, और पहले कहा जाता था ना पार्टी विद डिफरेंस, अब पार्टी विद रेफरेंस है कि हर जगह जो पास में आया, सामने आया, भाजपा उसको निगल जाना चाहती।
सर, एक पार्टी है वहाँ गुट है जो एलजेपी का, वो ये कह रहे हैं कि राष्ट्रपति शासन अब लगना चाहिए। इस कदम को कैसे देखते हैं आप? उन्होंने इस्तीफा दिया जो, उसके बाद अब दूसरी पार्टियां जो वो ये कह रही हैं कि राष्ट्रपति शासन लगेगा।
रामविलास पासवान जी बहुत बड़े अनुभवी थे, चिराग के पास अनुभव नहीं। उन्हें मालूम होना चाहिए राष्ट्रपति शासन अंतिम विकल्प होता है। पहला विकल्प ये कि अगर कोई सरकार बनाने का दावा प्रस्तुत करे और प्रथम दृष्टया उसके पास बहुमत नजर आए, तो राज्यपाल की मजबूरी है, संवैधानिक मजबूरी है, वो मई केस में तय हो गया है कि वो उसे मौका दे। और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि एक बहुमत हो।
Again, it's the 5th time he's divorced his partner. That's what they're saying, and he has lived up to what his current partner now, with whom he's just stitched an alliance, always called him as somebody who did paltu politics, or somebody who always changed tack. 2013 he did this, 2017 he did it, and now 2022 he's done it again. That is Nitish Kumar. There is huge amount of drama as just now he's been elected as leader of the Mahagathbandhan in Bihar. He's walked out of the NDA, walked into the Mahagathbandhan, and then they are just walking up to the governor, Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi Yadav, who are going to now walk perhaps to the governor's office to try and stake claim collectively together to show and present a letter of support of nearly 160 MLAs in the Bihar Vidhan Sabha, and say we've got overwhelming numbers. We are here to stake claim and we are here to form the government. Nitish Chief Minister, Tejaswi Yadav Deputy Chief Minister, unless there is a twist in the entire story. But it is surprising that contrary to 2013, this time around Nitish Kumar has actually stepped down. He's resigned as Chief Minister, and that set the rumor mills afloat, saying why is he resigning this time around? He didn't resign in 2013. He just sacked the BJP members of his cabinet and went to the governor with letter of support, and then changed. So the CM remained, just the government had changed back in 2013. But this time around, he's also resigned as Chief Minister and then formally joined the Mahagathbandhan. So it's an alliance where he's also entered into the fold along with the RJD and the HAM, which is also broken away from the NDA, and said we are going to follow Nitish into the Mahagathbandhan. So a strength of 160 MLAs, that's the story at this point. What is Nitish Kumar's game? What's the larger game plan? That's the bigger question. The BJP has come out and said he has once again contradicted himself, and then it's a huge round of whataboutery that's also happening at this. What about this and what about that? Let's listen into some of the reactions that have come in so far. 4:15 p.m. he submitted a resignation after and said that, formally announced that he's breaking away from the NDA. A lot of reactions have come through. Let's listen in before we go to our reporters on ground.
लोकसभा राज्यसभा के सांसद और सारे विधायक और विधान पार्षद और पार्टी के नेता, सारी मीटिंग आज हुई और सब लोगों की इच्छा यही हुई है कि हम लोगों को एनडीए छोड़ देना चाहिए। तो जैसे ही एनडीए छोड़ने का निर्णय सब लोगों की थी, तो हमने उसी को स्वीकार कर लिया और आकर के यहाँ जो एनडीए की सरकार में हम मुख्यमंत्री थे, हमने मुख्यमंत्री पद से इस्तीफा सौंप दिया।
He'll be going towards Mahagathbandhan because he knows that there's no vacancy for the Prime Minister candidate in NDA. And he would want to be presented as the Prime Minister candidate from the opposition side in 2024. So it's because of this particular aim and ambition of my Chief Minister is the reason why the whole development took place.
People are saying that you are very happy with the kind of development because it has opened your ways towards NDA and towards BJP.
Of course not. Yeah. The people of my state elected Chief Minister to work for them, to work for the state, not to work for himself. Today, when the people of my state needs a government, needs a Chief Minister to be working for him, my state is dealing with drought, my state is dealing with, of course, needless to say, berozgari, mehengai, and all these issues. Today, when we need a government, my Chief Minister is going to resign, and he's all concerned about forming another alliance, forming another government. That is his priority and not my state. So definitely, I am not happy with what has...
And Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi Yadav will be heading towards the Raj Bhavan. Maria Shakil is on ground. We are given to understand they are en route. So are they walking up to the Raj Bhavan? Maria?
No, Anand, so the barricading has been put. That will be the entrance to Raj Bhavan. And that is where Nitish and Tejaswi will be heading to meet the governor. They are carrying a letter of support of 160 MLAs. So, and Tejaswi will be communicating to the governor that Nitish Kumar has been chosen as the head of the new Mahagathbandhan, which has, of course, RJD, Congress, JDU and other parties, including the left parties, which were part of the Mahagathbandhan of Tejaswi in 2020. So in perhaps few minutes, we can see that cavalcade of Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi enter that gate, and they will be exiting there, and perhaps we can expect some kind of a joint PC. So far we have only heard in bits and pieces from both the sides, both Tejaswi and Nitish Kumar. First soundbite came from Nitish Kumar here after he tendered his resignation and said that he has walked out of alliance with the NDA, of the NDA. He has walked out of alliance with the BJP. And then he went straight to Rabri Devi's residence, which is 6 Circular Road. And then we saw how events played out. But again, as we have been saying,
there is
Anand,
some movement behind you because Saurabh is saying that there is an alert that's reached the Raj Bhavan that Nitish Kumar is en route. He's en route to come across to you towards the Raj Bhavan any moment now. So we will stay with you and the pictures. But we are also joined by Siddhant, who is right outside Rabri Devi's residence. Who all are there inside? Is Tejaswi Yadav still there, or has he left with Nitish? And is he with Nitish Kumar as they head towards Raj Bhavan, Siddhant?
Well, no, Anand, Tejaswi has already left along with Nitish Kumar to CM's residence, and they are going together to the Raj Bhavan. Right now, I'm reporting from Rabri Devi's residence. The Karyakartas have gathered here. Some are confused with this decision of Nitish and Tejaswi coming together again. Some are very happy. They are celebrating. In fact, we can expect fireworks also. But for now, Anand, the update is that letter signed by 160 MLAs will be submitted to the governor. This letter is a letter of support, and in fact, since morning at Rabri Devi's residence, the Congress MLAs, left party MLAs and the RJD MLAs have signed this letter, and it was being prepared all day throughout. Now this letter has been given to Nitish Kumar, and Tejaswi Yadav along with Nitish Kumar both are going to Raj Bhavan, along with the other senior leaders of JDU, RJD and Congress, which includes Lalan Singh, which includes the state president of RJD and the Congress state president. So all are going to Raj Bhavan. They will be handing over this letter to the governor to form the government. This letter is a letter of support. So now it is up to
Siddhant, now we got another update as he was inducted and he was made the leader of the Mahagathbandhan. he has said पहले से और अधिक सशक्त और मजबूत हो गया महागठबंधन, सभी को बधाई. This is what Nitish Kumar has said. This is his quote that Saurabh is also sharing with us. Saurabh, you are at the BJP office right now, but the story is not at the BJP headquarters in Patna, but the story is what Nitish Kumar has now done. Is it going to help the JDU? Is it going to help him? Or is it going to now firmly plonk Tejaswi Yadav as the strongest face and the strongest leader of Bihar? That's the bigger question that comes to mind, because will there be any currency for Nitish Kumar, who's been branded Paltu by Tejaswi himself? Any currency in national politics? That's a larger question. That's another question. But right now it is Tejaswi who's emerging the strongest, because he's the leader of the single largest party, and he will wield the clout despite being projected as a deputy to Nitish Kumar. But Nitish Kumar saying पहले से भी ज़्यादा सशक्त हो गया, and forget what happened in 2017. Will it be so easily forgotten? Quick word, Saurabh, before we go across to Maria at Raj Bhavan. Yeah. Well, we'll try and connect with Saurabh in just a bit. Nitish, sabke hain. These kind of posters have appeared outside the JDU headquarters as Nitish Kumar has formed an alliance with the RJD. Nitish, sabke hain. Now, sabke Nitish, that means he belongs or he works for everybody, he's with everybody, or that he can join anybody. Naria, tongue-in-cheek posters that are coming there, depending upon which side of the fence you are sitting on, and you would interpret it. But Nitish Kumar, what's behind this move? And did it surprise many when he actually resigned this time around? In 2013, he hadn't resigned.
Yes, that's right. In 2013, he resigned, Anand, and he made Jitan Ram Manjhi then as the Chief Minister of Bihar. So that was more of an act of renunciation by Nitish Kumar, and then he started working for 2014, and then we know what happened in 2014 Lok Sabha polls. And having faced that setback in 2015, he forged that alliance with Lalu Yadav, and then they swept the state of Bihar. But that message that Nitish sabke hain is actually clear now that it was in the making for quite some time. Look, Anand, it was not just a coincidence that the legislature party meeting of the RJD and the JDU was happening at the same time. And that 6 Circular Road, which is the official residence of Tejaswi, and Nitish Kumar's 1 Anne Marg was buzzing at the same time. So this was in the works for quite some time. And the fact is that Nitish Kumar spoke to Sonia Gandhi, and that is the reason why Sonia Gandhi had sent Bhakt Charan Das to ensure that the Congress flock is together. That was also the primary concern. What if the Congress breaks? Because the Congress, we have seen, as far as and other states are concerned, the Congress has been a spoiled sport in many ways. It was more of a sweet revenge for the Congress party. What has Nitish managed in this is the larger question. What does it mean for Nitish Kumar himself as far as his politics in the state of Bihar and the larger national politics is concerned? This is Nitish Kumar's attempt at political relevance. He has been trying to really come up with a formula in which he will emerge as a player again in national politics, and which clearly looks like that this would mean that Nitish Kumar will be talked about in the opposition space. But in the opposition space, when we look at Tejaswi Yadav with 114 MLAs signature that he is carrying, and he will be leaving Circular Road any moment.
Said that he is the big brother in this alliance. So the big brother, small brother, yes, Nitish Kumar may be the face of the alliance. He has been, chosen as the face of the Mahagathbandhan. But because of the numerical strength, Tejaswi Yadav is the big brother because of the numbers that he commands. Having said that, when we look at multiple players, we keep talking about what has Nitish Kumar, stood for as far as his politics is concerned. Nitish Kumar today stands for only one politics, which is the politics of U-turn. His politics has been about multiple U-turns and conveniences and opportunism, and every time he makes a switch, he's somehow able to convince the voters in some way that it is justified because there's some kind of conspiracy. The other time when he walked out of alliance with the RJD in 2017, he said he wanted to protect himself from the taint of RJD. So these are explanations that Nitish Kumar has to give. Whether he will be doing a press conference at all, because all these questions will be asked to Nitish as to what made him switch. And if indeed he is saying that there was a larger conspiracy that Lalan Singh spoke about 2 days ago, then why didn't he bring those evidence of conspiracy in the public domain? If there is conspiracy to break his party, which he has communicated to his party MLAs also, then what is the evidence that he has that the BJP was trying to break JDU, and what is the real evidence in terms of the BJP in Bihar?
There is also this whether or not he will actually get any currency as a national prime ministerial face, given his track record with what he's done with his own party and where he stands in terms of relevance in Bihar today. Is the leader of the number 3 party. He may be chief minister, but he's leader of the number 3 party there behind RJD and the BJP. Mangal Pandey of the BJP is responding. Let's listen in.
का जो चुनाव हुआ उसमें बिहार की जनता ने जो मैंडेट दिया था वह एनडीए को दिया था, नरेंद्र मोदी जी को दिया था। और उस चुनाव में सबसे बड़ा दल होने के बावजूद भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी को अपने वायदे के अनुरूप उन्हें मुख्यमंत्री बनाया और उन्हें मुख्यमंत्री की कुर्सी पे सुशोभित किया। जिस लालू राज के खिलाफ हम सब लोग लड़के आए थे, आज फिर वहीं वापस लौट गए। यह एक बड़ा प्रश्न बिहार की जनता के सामने है। माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी संपूर्ण जीवन कांग्रेस पार्टी के खिलाफ लड़ते रहे और आज फिर कांग्रेस के साथ जुड़ गए। यह कतई उचित नहीं है। बिहार की जनता ने जो मैंडेट दिया था 2020 में,
Now we've got another update. We've got the flight manifest and also the pictures of the leaders who are actually traveling from New Delhi towards Bihar, towards Patna. There is Ravi Shankar Prasad and Sushil Modi in the picture. There are other leaders too. We are given to understand Radha Mohan Singh is also part of this group, which is heading to try and address and manage the current situation in Bihar at this point. What are they being mandated? Why are they flying in at this point? Let's ask Maria Shakil as we stay with this picture. So BJP netas that are heading to Patna at this point, Maria, Ravi Shankar Prasad in conversation with Sushil Modi there. Sushil Modi knows Nitish Kumar very, very well, but he was sidelined given the fact that he was not doing the BJP's work. He was actually helping more the JDU more. That was what the internal talk was when he was replaced or he was moved away and looked, they looked beyond Sushil Modi and they moved towards Tarakishore. But in this case, what is their role going to be? Is it to ensure that the BJP stays intact, or is it to woo certain MLAs of the JDU and further weaken Nitish's position?
Plus MLA letter that Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi Yadav are carrying at present, I think it would be tough to really think that this alliance would break anytime soon. But the BJP, which has so far been sitting on the sidelines and waiting and watching for Nitish Kumar to make his move, will actually send this message that it is Nitish Kumar who betrayed this mandate of people of 2020. That if in 2020 the elections were fought with BJP, JDU jointly, so the cavalcade has started moving. Let's start showing the visuals here. If you can just pan to show, that is the entire stretch from where Tejaswi will be coming. So the cavalcade of Tejaswi started moving. So having said that, I think when we look at BJP's next move, we will be seeing an aggressive BJP this time around, Anand, because they are the second party in terms of the numbers. So they have the strength. BJP will go all out now to expand its footprint. So far they were, they had reiterated time and again that Nitish Kumar is the face of the alliance. So despite the animosity, the BJP always maintains that, let him be the face of the alliance. We will be careful in ensuring that the footprints are limited as well. BJP now will be going all out to ensure that they will be, questioning the government on all fronts. We saw that play out also perhaps by the Speaker of Bihar Assembly, which has been one of the points of defenses where Vijay Kumar Sinha was being reported, repeatedly questioning Nitish Kumar. So it was almost like a stack that played out between Nitish and Mr. Sinha on the floor of Bihar Assembly multiple times. So that has been one of the points of disagreement, bone of contention, if you may say. But this will be a new BJP now, which will find a new face, and then will go all out in questioning Nitish Kumar and RJD.
Well, absolutely. Siddhant has just shared pictures of Nitish addressing leaders of the Mahagathbandhan inside that meeting. We've got pictures of that. We will try and put that out in just a bit. This is where he's turned around and said, forget what I said in 2017, forget the occurrences of 2017. This is the picture of Tejaswi Yadav sitting there, even as Nitish is standing and addressing all the leaders who are present inside that meeting. So two pictures that we've had access to from inside the meeting. But Maria, even as we are putting out this picture and the quote where he said that forget what we have said, whatever I said back in 2017, there is some words of Nitish Kumar which are doing the rounds, that when he exited the Mahagathbandhan and quit with the Rajat, he had said, standing up, saying, किसी भी सूरत पे आपके साथ वापस जुड़ जाएंगे, ऐसा हो नहीं सकता, रहे या मिट्टी में मिल जाए, हम कभी वापस नहीं लौटेंगे, we will never come back together. So 5 years later, all that is forgotten.
Even as we speak, right there, we can see those visuals now coming where Tejaswi Yadav and Nitish Kumar are coming jointly to meet the governor. And if the camera could actually pan to get those first pictures, both of them jointly to meet the governor. The cabinet that is now moving of Tejaswi and Nitish Kumar jointly present. They are carrying the letter of 160 plus MLAs in Bihar Assembly. They are going straight to the governor's residence. That's where the support letter will be given. This is a new Mahagathbandhan taking place, and this is happening
with Tejaswi and Nitish coming together. So that car that you can see, the cavalcade which is moving and now entering the Raj Bhavan in Patna, actually has Tejaswi and Nitish and of course other members of the alliance who are all going together inside the Raj Bhavan to now claim to form the next government. It's almost a repeat or deja vu,
let me just bring in Saurabh. He's closer to the visuals, Maria. So yes, Saurabh, can you take us through? Maria just showed us and we saw the visuals of Nitish and Tejaswi sitting in the same car. It's an electric car that that ferries Nitish in and around Patna, and it's where they were both seated together. Yes, Saurabh.
Nitish Kumar was accompanied by JDU President Lalan Singh. Then going inside Raj Bhavan, and slowly all the vehicles are entering into Raj Bhavan. We saw a first vehicle of Nitish Kumar. He was accompanied by JDU President Lalan Singh.
Well, we got very poor audio with you, Saurabh. We got Maria with us and Siddhant with us. It's a heavy rush of supporters, and also as the cavalcade has made its way in, the security bandobast is also very strict. So there are some network and bandwidth issues, but we've still been able to get you the pictures first here at CNN News 18. That's the cavalcade that's making its way in. Maria was talking us through the cavalcade. The JDU President Lalan Singh is also there with Nitish Kumar, and also Tejaswi Yadav is present in that cavalcade. That's the vehicle. That's the vehicle that has Nitish and Tejaswi as they reach Raj Bhavan in Patna. Yes, Maria, go ahead. I'm going to check with if Siddhant is also there with us. But Maria, this was that moment they have entered together. The next step would be presenting a letter of support of 160 MLAs and then going forward to announce who's going to be leading them. So Nitish CM and Tejaswi Deputy CM, has it all been agreed now?
Yes, so the modalities is only something that will be announced. So perhaps when the new government takes shape, it will be just two of them taking oath. And as far as other members of this alliance or other MLAs, what will be the portfolio and all, that will be decided perhaps later. So the letter of support being given by Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi Yadav jointly. And as I said, Anand, this is a deja vu of 2017, when I was right here witnessing the power transition from Nitish Kumar walking out of alliance with Lalu Yadav and Mahagathbandhan, and within minutes the new government was in a shape with BJP extending support. Now it is the same power transition that has happened with Nitish Kumar walking out of alliance, this time with the alliance partner of several years. He's walked out of NDA and has now stepped inside the Raj Bhavan to give that letter of support to the Governor of Bihar, that he continues to be he has the numbers in terms of support of various political parties and can take oath as the next Chief Minister.
Siddhant is also with us. Siddhant, do we have any understanding or details of the understanding that's been reached? What has Nitish promised Tejaswi Yadav? Is there going to be a passing off on the baton sometime about 8 to 10 months down the line, where Nitish turns his focus nationally and Tejaswi sits on the hot seat as Chief Minister?
That there is going to be no problem as far as portfolio allocation is concerned. Also, the way Nitish Kumar came to meet Tejaswi Yadav sends out a strong message, Anand, that everything is all right between these two leaders. And in fact, we have also been told that Tejaswi is going to get Home Ministry. So if CM is sacrificing Home Ministry for Tejaswi Yadav, it in itself gives out a message that Nitish Kumar is eyeing Delhi. Nitish Kumar is going to be active in Delhi's politics, and Tejaswi Yadav will run the show here in Patna. A. B. Anand, it's a win-win situation for both the leaders, as Nitish Kumar wants to play the last innings of his political career by getting active in Delhi's politics after a long time, and in fact he's one neutral face who can glue together the other opposition parties, and can, in fact, this is what he and his supporters believe, that can be an opposition space for the PM selection. But at the same time, Anand, if that is going to happen in Delhi, then Tejaswi will run the show here in Patna. And along with this, Tejaswi is also getting the legacy of Nitish Kumar. So right now, there is only one leader who talks about social justice in Bihar, who comes from the socialist background, and that the name of that leader is Tejaswi Yadav. So it's a win-win situation for both the leaders, because he's getting what he wanted: Home Ministry, more power in the government, more share in the government, and the DCM post. At the same time, the legacy of Nitish Kumar. So till now they were rivals. They fought against each other all throughout, but now they have come together because Nitish wants Delhi and Tejaswi wants Bihar. So it's a win-win situation for both the leaders. And in fact, in the photographs also which have been released, you can see Tejaswi and Tej Pratap walking ahead of Nitish Kumar. Those pictures clear it out that who is going to be the leader of this government. It's going to be Tejaswi Yadav, and it is very clear. And on these terms only,
well very clearly it is Tejaswi Yadav. If you look at the pictures and the language, that Nitish is going to slowly move away, and it will be Tejaswi who will hog the limelight. And clearly the communication is also that it will be an RJD-driven government in Bihar. And if Siddhant is saying that, as per the sources telling him that Tejaswi is going to get the Home Ministry also, so clearly Nitish is ready in a way to hand over the baton in the near future. But he's all set to be sworn in as Chief Minister of Bihar for the 8th time. Maria, is that likely to happen sometime tomorrow? Because they have a cut-off date. Sawan ke 2 mahine, आखिरी 2 दिन है. 11 तारीख से पहले they have to finish all of this, because otherwise they enter into a very, very inauspicious phase.
Yes, I don't think so. They will be waiting even for a minute, because they understand that the BJP is certainly waiting and watching. So they would not be, leaving anything to chance.
their side. The letter of support has been extended already. So it is a matter of taking oath now. So Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi Yadav will perhaps take oath in the next 24 hours. I won't be surprised if it happens today itself, because they would be communicating to the governor that he has the numbers. So he can, and he is the head of the Mahagathbandhan, because as the head and the face of Mahagathbandhan, he addressed the alliance partners sometime back. But let me give you a sense of where I am. And this is just, it's that euphoria that you see when the actual power transition happens. These are, RJD workers and also workers of the JDU who are carrying those photographs and also banners, the flag of JDU as well. Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi Yadav are inside the Raj Bhavan to meet the governor. They are, of course, giving the letter of support. So when is the governor actually inviting them to take the oath is something that we'll get a confirmation from Raj Bhavan in perhaps some time. But in another 5-10 minutes, we can expect both of them to leave the governor's residence and head back to the
Let me, we've got poor network coming across through, so some of the visuals may be a little deferred and not live, ladies and gentlemen, but I've got Sandeep Ghosh with me, and Arun Anand should also be joining us. Sandeep Ghosh, political commentator, Arun Anand, author and columnist. Namaste, gentlemen. So Sandeep Ghosh.
नीतीश कुमार से पूछना कि अभी सब मॉडल खत्म कर रहे हैं, अब भ्रष्टाचार मॉडल पर नीतीश कुमार काम करेंगे.
Any credibility or credence? Will anybody trust him?
Anand, you've been harping on the fact that he is taking oath for the 8th time as Chief Minister. It reminds me of that old joke about Elizabeth Taylor's 8th husband, who knew what was to be done, but his challenge would be how to make it interesting. Because if he's really, it's Tejaswi Yadav who's calling the shots from behind, what does Nitish really do? And the last point which you made is ironic, that Tejaswi Yadav was going to get Home Ministry from the leader of the party, which was infamous for bringing Jungle Raj into Bihar, which apparently Nitish had demolished to, stake his claim of Sushashat Bihar, getting law and order back. Now, Tejaswi Yadav gets Home Ministry back, and so it's life comes full circle. Now, what Maria says is absolutely true. He's trying to extend his sell-by date in politics. But how far he'll succeed? If you see 2014 also, Nitish played his cards close to his chest because he thought Modi is not going to get the absolute majority. And at that point in time, too, he thought he will become the opposition's consensus candidate. So he didn't, therefore, align with NDA. He's trying to do the same, play the same card now. And only time will tell how it goes. And as far as BJP is concerned, I think BJP is very clear that in most of these states, they will ultimately have to go it alone. And so they are, even if they are out of power, as Maria was saying, that they will be the largest opposition party. They'll try to consolidate their position. Only problem with them is the caste card, how they're going to get that caste configuration right, because they really don't have a strong Bihar-based leader. But I think BJP is willing to take that chance and use these 2 years or 1.5 years left for 2019 to consolidate. As far as 2000,
where does that leave the JDU in itself, Arun Anand? Because the JDU is the number 3 party today. And do you not see fissures brewing within the JDU? Because there'll be many who would not be happy with going back with the MJB. They may all be quiet right now, but do you feel Nitish's position weakening further? Could there be an exodus of 15, 20, 25 MLAs? Not that it's going to bother the MGB, but the fact is that this is going to further split and divide the JDU and diffuse it.
Anand, I think what we are witnessing right now is there might be a change of the government, but this is the last phase of Janata Dal United. And I think in next few years it is not going to be there, because Nitish is already 71. There is no other leader, and the party doesn't have an ideological framework. As we have seen that he has changed sides 5 times over the last few years just to form the government. So this is actually what we are witnessing right now. Is actually the inner dynamics of a party and the inner contradictions of a party. This decision of Nitish Kumar to leave BJP and to form a government with the JDU, with the RJD and Congress. So it's actually outcome of
this inner contradiction which is there in every party, which is bereft of ideology and which is driven by an individual. We have seen that in Maharashtra happening with Shiv Sena. We have seen that happening in Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh. So this is the end game for Janata Dal United. They might be able to form the government right now, but it's the last phase for them.
So you say you're hearing वो कहते हैं that a candle burns brightest before it's going to go out. So is that a kind of scenario that we are seeing? We'll talk more on that. What happens with the JDU? What happens with RJD? What happens with the BJP? And also, is there somebody who's going to take the Nitish Kumar narrative forward as far as the national face against Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Lok Sabha 2024? Plenty of questions, lots of drama on ground. We're going to take a very short break. Stay with us.
के घर पर जहां तमाम विधायक मिले कितना बड़ा मौका है आज। प्रताप यादव जिंदाबाद, लालू यादव जिंदाबाद, तेजस्वी यादव जिंदाबाद, महागठबंधन जिंदाबाद। प्रताप जी, तेजस्वी यादव पैदल रवाना हुए। आओ गेट पे, आओ गेट पे।
ललन सिंह नीतीश
लोग हैं तमाम जो अधिकारी हैं सीधे सीधे ये करने मार के उधर उधर राजभवन ये हम दूर तो बस ऐसे ये देखिए ये अजीम हम अपने दर्शकों को तस्वीर दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि राजभवन पहुंच चुके हैं नीतीश कुमार राजभवन पहुंच चुके हैं और जिसकी जानकारी थी जो एक एनएमआर से बिल्कुल तस्वीर निकल चुके हैं। जी हाँ जी राज्यपाल से मिलने के लिए नीतीश कुमार निकल चुके। इस वक्त तस्वीर देखिए नीतीश कुमार हाथ जोड़कर लोगों का अभिवादन करते हुए और उनके साथ जो लोग हैं तमाम जो अधिकारी हैं सीधे सीधे करने मार के उधर उधर राजभवन।
happening in the newsroom, ladies and gentlemen. There are many who hail from Bihar in our newsroom, and they all have their own interpretation of what's happening. But one thing is clear, that Nitish Kumar has proven that he turns court, or he turns the tables, or turns away from his existing partner, and this is a recurrence which happens. It's perhaps habitual because he's done it at least thrice in the last decade. Now we got an update coming through. The Bihar BJP core group meeting is at 6 p.m. All leaders have arrived from Delhi. So we showed you the pictures of those who are in the flight. All of them, they've touched down. So this meeting will happen at 6 p.m. We'll have to see what the BJP has to come and say, because there will be a press conference post that. This is Maria Shakil's input. But before we go to Maria on this one, there is also a tweet that's come in from Rohini Acharya. Rohini is Lalu Yadav's daughter, and she has said, भाजपा वाले डीपी बदलने को कहा था, हम लालूवादी सरकार ही बदल दिए. And she's put out the victory sign there and says, ये बिहार है बबुआ, उड़ती चिड़िया को हल्दी लगाता है. So clearly a lot of celebration that's happening in the RJD camp, and many are looking at this as Tejaswi becoming the undisputed challenger to the BJP, and perhaps the single largest leader in Bihar. So he's been able to emerge not just from his father Lalu Prasad's shadows, but somewhere he's also become quasi the political heir to Nitish Kumar. Maria Shakil with us on both. Yes, Maria.
Yes, so what sources in the BJP are telling us is that they will be deciding the next action, because so far they were waiting for Nitish Kumar to make his move, which he has already made. The swearing-in ceremony, of course, will be waiting and watching out for as well. But for the moment, the senior leaders of Bihar BJP, who are MPs as well, like Ravi Shankar Prasad, Sushil Modi, all of them have arrived in Patna. And, Sanjay Jaiswal, who is the state president, all of them will be meeting at 6 p.m., which will be the Bihar BJP core group meeting. They will be deciding as to what next for Bihar BJP. Because, Nitish Kumar, what the BJP has been saying is that now this is a case of betrayal. They were trying to ensure that the alliance functions, but it is Nitish Kumar who walked out on them. So now what will be BJP's strategy? That is something that we'll have to wait and see. And will they be responding to the charge that has come from the JDU? I did speak to a source in the BJP. They are saying that Nitish Kumar has not said anything officially against us, in the sense that he has said that he's walking out of NDA, but the charge that he's leveling against us has not been said officially. It is only source-based. So they would wait for perhaps an official, perhaps a press conference or of that nature to come from Nitish. That hasn't happened, and I'm not too sure if this will happen at all, because Nitish Kumar, even if he tries to explain the reason why he's walking out of the alliance, has several questions to answer as to what made him go back to the old ally RJD.
Right. Thank you for your inputs, Maria. But Roshni there, Acharya, that is Lalu Yadav's daughter, putting out a tweet in jubilance. But as Sandeep Ghosh and Arun Anand are still with us, this is an old tweet of Lalu Yadav, which is also doing the rounds, just like an old speech of Nitish Kumar is doing the rounds. So here on the 3rd of August 2017 at 7:50 p.m, Lalu Yadav had tweeted, नीतीश सांप है, जैसे सांप कैंचुल छोड़ता है वैसे ही नीतीश भी कैंचुल छोड़ता है और हर 2 साल में सांप की तरह नया चमड़ा धारण कर लेता है, किसी को शक. That's the question that he had asked at that time. This tweet had gone viral at that point in time. But the same way, Nitish Kumar had also said something not so long ago. Arun Anand, Nitish Kumar also at that point in time had said, मिट्टी में मिल जाए, but किसी भी परिस्थिति में लौटकर राजद के साथ जाने का प्रश्न ही नहीं बनता. रहे या मिट्टी में मिल जाए, आप लोगों के साथ कोई समझौता भविष्य में संभव नहीं है.
Anand, I think what is happening right now in Bihar, and as you have mentioned the statements made by both the leaders, actually it's a very sad day for Bihar. Whoever wins or basically forms the government, but ultimately the state of Bihar and the people of Bihar are the losers, because it's a pure mockery of the democratic norms. Nitish Kumar fought against a certain party and along with a certain party formed an alliance, and now he's going to form the government. All these parties are going to come together and form the government, though they had fought against each other, and Nitish and NDA alliance had got a mandate against the corruption of RJD. And in fact, why I say that Bihar is a loser, because it's a well-known fact that RJD, Congress, and the parties with whom now Nitish is tying up, they are the ones who had turned Bihar kind of synonymous with corruption, political violence, anarchy, chaos, and now Nitish is again forming the government with them. So I think it's a very, very sad day for the people of Bihar.
Well, we have a reaction coming in from Sharad Yadav. We'll see if we can cut across to that. Otherwise, yeah, let's listen in.
जो आज का गठबंधन है जनादेश इसी को मिला है जो बीच में सरकार थी वो जनादेश की सरकार नहीं थी ये सरकार जो बनी है वो जनादेश की सरकार है ये जो सरकार है असली गठबंधन की सरकार पहले बनी थी
So contrary to what Arun Anand says, Sharad Yadav says, आज जो सरकार बनी है उसी को जनादेश मिला है, Sandeep Ghosh. So this is how they are justifying the Lalu and Nitish coming back together. That is Tejaswi-led RJD now and Nitish Kumar-led JDU coming together, saying these are the people who have the mandate of the people. Well, interrupting you gentlemen, cutting across to Alok Kumar Singh, is the Noida 3P. He's addressing a press conference and this is on Shrikant Tyagi.
टीम है, वहाँ से एक नोटिफिकेशन आता है एक वीडियो के बारे में जो सेक्टर 93 की सोसाइटी से संबंधित है। उस वीडियो को देखते ही
ललन सिंह नीतीश